me today is Dr. Musharef Hussain, and he's going to introduce an important festival in the Islamic year, Lailat-ul-bara'ah, the night of repentance. Musharef, you're very welcome.
I'm delighted, Tom, to talk about the Lailat-ul-bara'ah, or the night of repentance. And it's narrated in the hadith, the sayings of the Prophet, that one night the Prophet was missing from his home, and his wife Aisha looked for him and found him in the cemetery near their mosque. And telling about the greatness of this night, the Prophet said that on this night God forgives people. He forgives people more than the hair of Banu Salma's goats. This was a tribe who had goats, and very hairy goats. And he said, you know, God gives more people, forgives more people than the hair on these goats, stressing, you know, how important this night is. And he himself, you know, would spend this night in worship. Now, it's interesting, this is on the 15th of Sha'ban. Sha'ban is the month before Ramadan. And one other thing we know about this month is the fact that the Prophet used to do a lot of fasting. So here, this was also a very, in many ways, a very spiritual month.
So which Sha'ban is which month in the Islamic?
This would be the 7th month of the Islamic calendar.
And in Sha'ban, there is a link between the night of repentance and fasting.
Yes. So this is the 8th month of the Islamic calendar. Sha'ban is the 8th month. And it's interesting that all the Muslims fast the whole of the month of Ramadan, but the Prophet began as though he was practicing, preparing himself for this great month of Ramadan, and he used to fast more often. And his normal practice was actually to fast 3 days a month, and then the 2 days of the week as well, Monday and Thursday, and then on the 13th, 14th and the 15th. So these were the normal practices. But in this month, he would fast even more often, which shows that, you know, he was already preparing himself in that sort of spiritual mode, getting him into that mood. And perhaps one night, 15th night of the Sha'ban, you know, he becomes very spiritual, extremely spiritual, and he begins to talk about the greatness of this night, how God descends to the lower heavens and says, is there anybody who seeks forgiveness, who I will forgive? Is there anybody who's asking so that I may bless him? Is there anybody, you know, who seeks support and help? I'm there to help him. And so this is a very significant night in that sense. And here in Nottingham, for example, the way we remember this night and celebrate this night is that after sunset, we go to the cemetery here in Bulwell, which is a Muslim cemetery, and we spend about an hour or so in the cemetery. There are, on that night, you would see hundreds of Muslims actually visiting the cemetery where their dead ones are resting. We would do the prayers. I normally do a talk there as well. And then people would come into the mosque late in the evening and stay the night, and in the night vigil, where we would actually talk about forgiveness. We would talk about, you know, how to achieve the nearness of God and the blessings of God, and to really talk about the greatness of God, and also about the Prophet as well as how important it is for us to always, you know, be seeking forgiveness, really. So this night is really spent in that sort of mood of asking God, you know, to forgive us, because we as human beings, we believe, are always, you know, making mistakes, and we've got to be, you know, willing to, and we've got to be ready to seek forgiveness for them. The other significance of this night is that it's followed by a fast the next day. So we would then fast the whole of the next day. And this is, again, it creates this sort of natural spiritual connection with the other world in many ways, really. The night vigil, the fasting, the prayers, the seeking of forgiveness.
Now, I know that you have written about this and you have produced a little booklet, and this booklet can be downloaded from your Karimia Institute website.
That's right, yes. Yes.
Musharef, it's always lovely having you come to speak with us. Thank you so much.